everyone. This is Harivadhani, working as an assistant professor in Sri Krishna Arts and Science College. This content is regarding entrepreneurial development. I will brief you about who is an entrepreneur, how to become an entrepreneur, characteristics and functions. If we could have an entrepreneur in every family, India's economy would skyrocket. Told by Rahul Bajaj, Chairman and Managing Director, Bajaj Auto. The term entrepreneur is relatively a new term and concept used in economic sphere. One who create a business in the face of new risk and uncertainty for the purpose of achieving the profit. So the concept of entrepreneur is from a French. The word entrepreneur has been taken from the French language entreprendre, where it is cradled literally means between taker and go between. That is to undertake and meant to designate an organization of a musical or other entertainment. The Oxford Dictionary in 1897 also defined entrepreneur in a simpler way as the director or a manager of a public musical institution, one who gets up entertainment, especially a musical performance. Entrepreneur, the growth and the growth of an entrepreneur is from the early 16th century, which is referred to persons engaged in military expeditions. Evaluation and development of the term entrepreneur. Middle ages, actor and person in charge of large-scale production projects. On 17th century, it has been termed as person bearing risk of profit in a fixed price contract with government. So here is a definition for an entrepreneur. Like a Scumter definition of entrepreneur is of reform or revalunize the pattern of production by exploiting an invention or more generally an entire technological possibility for producing a new commodity. These words are described. These words are defined by Scumter. On the view of Drucker, innovation is a specific tool on entrepreneur. This means by which they exploit changes as an opportunity for different business or different service. So the next content and the next topic is of characteristics of entrepreneur. Before to the characteristics of entrepreneur, we will be looking into what are all the category of an how an entrepreneur could be categorized. See, for example, entrepreneur as a risk bearer, entrepreneur as an organizer or a coordinator, entrepreneur as an innovator. These three things that could be categorized to an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur as a risk bearer. Richard Cantillon, an Irishman living in France, was the first to introduce the term entrepreneur and his unique risk-bearing functions in economics in the early 18th century. He defined entrepreneur as an agent who buys factor of production at certain price in order to combine them into a product with a view to selling it at an uncertain price in future. He illustrated a farmer who pays out contractual income which are certain to the landlords and laborers and sell at a price that are uncertain. He further states that so do merchants also who make certain payments in expectation of uncertain receipts. Thus, they too are essentially risk-bearing agents of production. Again, on the basis of entrepreneur as a risk bearer, Knight also described in 1965 entrepreneur to be a specialized group of persons who bear uncertainty. Uncertainty is defined as a risk which cannot be insured against and is incalculable. Hence, thus draws a distinction between ordinary risk and uncertainty. A risk can be reduced through the insurance principle, where the distribution of the outcome in a group of instances is known. On the contrary, uncertainty is a risk which cannot be calculated. The entrepreneur, according to Knight, is the economic functionary who undertakes such responsibility of uncertainty, which by its very nature cannot be insured or capitalized or salaried. Next is of entrepreneur as an organizer or coordinator. Jean Say, in 1827, the French political economist, with his unpleasant practical experiences, developed the concept of entrepreneur a little further, which survived for almost 2 centuries. His definitions associates entrepreneur with the functions of coordination, organization, and supervision. According to Say, an entrepreneur is one who combines the land of one, the labor of another, and the capital of yet another, and thus produces a product. By selling the produce in the market, he pays interest on capital, rent on land, wages to laborers, and what remains is or a profit. Say this view that the entrepreneur shifts economic resources out of an area of lower productivity and into an area of higher productivity and greater yield. So it has been clearly stated that entrepreneur, being an organizer or a coordinator, is someone who combines the entire process or the entire work, who cannot run a business, who cannot start a business firm as a single individual, where he or she have to gather a lot of combined works to become a successful entrepreneur. For, as stated by Jean, it is being defined as the entrepreneur is one who combines the land of one, the labor of another, and the capital of yet another. So thus views that the entrepreneur shifts economic resources out of an area of lower productivity and into an area of higher productivity and greater heat. Thus Say has made a clear distinction between the role of capitalist as a financier and the entrepreneur as an organizer. The next is of entrepreneur as an innovator. As told, as discussed of the entrepreneurship's definition by Scumter, here is another definition by M for an entrepreneur as an innovator. Joseph A. Scumter, for the first time in 1934, assigned a crucial role of innovation to the entrepreneur in his magnum opus, Theory of Economic Development. Scumter considered economic development as a discrete dynamic change brought by entrepreneur by insisting new combination of factors of production, which he called convention. In other words, entrepreneur is, according to Scumter, a creative disruptor who creates or causes a dynamic disequilibrium in the economy by taking innovation to commercialization by embedding it in an environment where it did not exist previously. The innovation, that is the introduction of new combination of factors of production, according to M, may occur in any one of the following 5 forms. So it has been stated that entrepreneur or on the term entrepreneur or the person who's been stated as an entrepreneur is someone relatively called as an innovator. A business, in a business or in an organization of entrepreneurship, we must be very innovative, and we must be innovatively implementing or bringing up a new thing to make a commercially equilibrium factors in economic resources. So according to Scumter, the innovation of new combination factors would be resulting in the following 5 forms. The first one is of introduction of new products, and the second thing is of introduction of new method of production, and the third thing, opening of new markets, and the next is of discovery of new sources of supply of raw materials and carrying out of the new form of organization of any industry. So as told, with the following 5 forms, a introduction, that is called an innovation of new combination factors, will bring an entrepreneur as an innovator, a greater innovator. Introduction, like at stall, introduction to bringing of a new product, and with that new product, what kind of new method could be used for the purpose of production, how to bring that particular project to an opening market, to a market, how it could be brought into a market, and the discovery of new source of supply of raw materials. The source of supply, the entrepreneur must be aware, must be capable enough to gather a new source of supply for its raw material. Discovery of new source of supply of raw materials and carrying out of the new form of organization of any industry. Okay. However, Scumter stressed that the fact that these attributes unaccompanied by the ability to innovate would not be sufficient to account for entrepreneurship. So the next thing is of characteristics of an entrepreneur. If you go through the business history of India, we may come across the names of some persons who have emerged as a successful entrepreneur, right? So like Dhrubai Ambani of Reliance Industries Limited, Azim Premji of Wipro, Narayana Murthy of Infosys Technologies Limited, Kiran Mahmood Shah of the Bicon India Group, and other great famous entrepreneurs. uh, their profile would the entrepreneur profiles of these business or industries would be quite fascinating, right? They are studying in sharp contrast how some are highly educated, other are highly school, some would be like high school or college dropout, in their some are in editors and others are self-made. Some may be taught in their relevant field which they choose, others did not approach the starting like so on. So a famous entrepreneur will be having the following characteristics. Thus there is no typical entrepreneur as such. So as told, the scanning of their personality shows there are certain commonalities called characteristics found in them. So some of the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur is of like hard work, desire for high achievement, highly optimistic, independence, foresight, good organizer, innovative, perseverance, team spirit, and team spirit. These are the successful. These are some of the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Now, let me tell you. Let me brief you about the hard work characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Hard work, willingness to work hard distinguish a successful entrepreneur from unsuccessful one. Most of the successful entrepreneurs work hard endlessly, especially in the beginning, and the same becomes their habit for their whole life. While delivering the convocation speech at the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, Ahmedabad on Saturday, 17 September 2005, the well-known entrepreneur called Sri Hari Shankar exhorted the budding entrepreneurs that he quoted a words by the following: I have always followed the dictum that the success comes only with a 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. There is no substitute for hard work. One must have focus to achieve their worst vision. Nobody gets a clean slate to write on and has to start with the dirty slate he gets. If one waits for ideal situation, the time will never come. So it is a good quote for the term hard work. So when we effectively give a hard work on any kind of activity, it would be resulting in a mature place. So we have to grab things. We have to uh, we have to put a hard work, then only we can able to become us then only we could able to bring out something effectively, right? The next is of desire for high achievement. The entrepreneurs have a strong desire to achieve high goals in business. This high achievement motive strengthens them to surmount the obstacles, suppress anxieties, repair misfortunes, and devise experience and set up and run a successful business. Sunil Mittal, of Bharati Telecom presents an excellent example of need for high achievement. Here's the example of Sunil Mittal. Sunil Mittal, the son of Sat Paul Mittal, a member of parliament, belongs to non-business background where he doesn't have any background. He is from a normal upper middle class family or a lower middle class family. It was a young Sunil having a high need for achievement in life. Started with the business of making a cycle path in Ludhiana way back in 1976 at the age of 18 with borrowed capital of just rupees 10,000. But things did not work properly. So he set up Bharati Healthcare in 1983 to 1884, making capsules. It also did not work well because of the government's import and export policy. Then Sunil Mittal started to manufacture push button telephones. Since then, there was no looking back. It was Sunil's high need and urge for achievement. He backed many first to his credit. The first push button telephone set, the first cordless, the first answering machine, the first fax machine. So, from the example of Sunil Mittal, it is clearly stated that one should never let his desire or achievement to get back in. So we have to try. We have to hard work to achieve it in a proper way. So that is called desire for that is one of the main thing to become a successful entrepreneur. The next is of highly optimistic. The successful entrepreneur have a positive approach towards things. They do not get disturbed by the present problem faced by them. They become optimistic for future that the situation will become favorable to business in future. So it is clear like highly optimistic entrepreneur is someone who will be not disturbed or affected by the current present scenario that is affecting his business firm. He'll be calculative, he'll be on the basis of future analysis, future situations which will become favorable to his business in future. So he'll be of like very optimistic. He or she will be a very optimistic person in in a positive way, in a positive approach. In 1914, Thomas A. Edison, at the age of 67, lost his factory to fire. He had a very little insurance, no longer a young man. Edison watched his lifetime effort go up in smoke and said, "There is a great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burnt up. Thank God we can start anew." In spite of such devastating disaster, 3 weeks after, he invented the phonograph. So, from this example we could know how optimistic Thomas A. Edison is. It was a great disaster as term. If you're not of an optimistic person, we'll be also on the same mentality of disaster and we'll be going through it, but which will not help us to become a successful entrepreneur. So being optimistic will boost ourselves to become a successful entrepreneur. The next is of independence. One of the common quality of the successful entrepreneur has been that they do not like to be guided by others and to follow their rules. They resist to be pigeonholed. They like to be independent in that matters of their business. So the next point is of independence, which is like of a freedom in a business or a freedom in a firm. So if I become an entrepreneur, I would insist myself in doing something to my business, right? I would never, if I could get a suggestion or if I could get uh, get a help from others, the decision authority, the decision power, if I have particular freedom, if I have particular independence uh, in exploring things, it would work properly. It would work proper when we have a kind of independence, or when we have a kind of freeness. Then only we can innovate. We can bring new ideas and new thoughts in developing our business organization. That is the point that would be stated as independence. The next is of foresight. The entrepreneurs have a good foresight to know about future business or environment. In other words, they will visualize the likely changes to take place in market. consumer attitude and taste, technological development, etc., and take necessary and timely actions accordingly. Foresight is something to know about the future business on environment. For example, if we take if we of like if we take a garments manufacturing industries in Tirupur now, in previous years, there was a good manufacturing power. There was a good proper scale of manufacturing was taking place. Proper like proper consumption or proper production was taking place. But now, after a pandemic or after certain scenarios of the present world, the production and the other process is not be done properly. So the foresight is about like we have to think about the future business environment, and we have to be pre-calculated to make a sustainability in the business organization. Okay, the next is of a good organization. Various resources required for production are owned by different owners. Then it is the ability of the entrepreneur who brings together all required resources for setting up an enterprise and then produce goods. The next is of innovative. Production is meant to meet the customer's requirement. In view of the changing requirement of the customer from time to time, the entrepreneur initiate research and innovative activity to produce goods to satisfy the customers. So the next is of perseverance. One of the quality of a successful entrepreneur is that they possess and exhibit tremendous perseverance in their pursuit. The team spirit, the last is of team spirit. The word team refers to T for together, E for everyone, A for achieves, and M for more. Team results in synergy. Successful entrepreneur build team and work with team. Okay, these are all the characteristics of entrepreneur. Thus, I conclude by explaining you with the following contents like what is an entrepreneurship and characteristics of becoming a successful entrepreneur. Thank you for listening the content.